And you have also read the UPSC's instructions in the sense what is that the interview board would be looking for when they have the personality test with them. You have some 1 or 2 crucial points to say. What is that the UPSC wants that during the personality test, what is the commission is going to assess?
Sir, I think the commission, rather than looking at the knowledge aspect, as the name suggests, it would look at the overall personality of the candidates, like how we are able to communicate with the board, how we are able to manage the stressful situations, and how honest and integrity do we have. Like, I think accepting that we don't know would be much better than trying to judge or make a false claim or answers.
This personality test you said, what is meant by personality, and whether it can be changed in the sense, if you think that there is some shortcomings in your personality, can it be changed in some manner or the other by others?
So the personality reflects the overall characteristics of a person, and I think that is a influence of different factors like the environment where we come from, the upbringing that we have had, and I think if considerable efforts are put in, the personality can also be changed and fine-tuned, sir.
When you say someone is a very good officer, and suppose you know he is a good collector or good police officer or good doctor, or good, what do you mean? That what is that that you felt about him or her?
So when we see,
First you say, just say a good officer. If you want to say he is a good officer.
sir, I think the first and foremost characteristics I would suggest would be having empathy, because I think at the end of the day, a civil servant is obliged to serve the people. So when we understand the people's problem, then only I think we can take necessary actions as per the requirements. So secondly would be accessibility. A civil servant should be accessible to the people as much as possible. Then only we would be able to understand the plight of the people. And thirdly, sir, innovation would also be a very important aspect, because because I think only with innovation we can come up with new solutions for the existing problems that we have had.
What is the most serious problem you would look at if you are posted to a district as a sub-collector or a collector? Most important problem today in Kerala or any state? So, just one problem which you would like to look at, topmost.
Sir, I think I would like to address the issue of unemployment within the country in any district which I am posted, because I think if we give employment to the people, then we would also ensure development for all, and their access to all the basic facilities and needs that would also be addressed, because then they themselves would be empowered to have the access to basic facilities.
Okay, that's all right.
Vishnu, your optional for the mains has been political science and international relations,
Yes,
right?
sir. Yes, sir.
So, what is your opinion about the political environment prevailing in India at present?
So, the political environment, like can you please specify?
The way in which political parties are functioning and influencing the life of the people, and how the attitude of political parties are influencing the economy of the state, of the country.
So, if we look at India, which is a developing country, I think the political parties have a very crucial role to play, because the people, when they claim that they are members of a particular party or they have affiliations to certain political parties, they also see that as a status of exerting power, because they see that as a claim on the government that is functioning. So, the political parties have positives as well as negatives, sir, in the current scenario. Positives is that they are able to aggregate the interest of the people and they are able to present it to the government. And I think the government is also accommodating in such opinions presented by the other parties. At the same time, there are also negatives. There is unnecessary politicization of issues, which I think need to be looked at objectively, which could have worked better for the country. So I think in the current scenario, there are both positives and negatives for the political party's influence. And so secondly, with respect to the influence on economy, so one negative aspect which I find is the culture of freebies, the bad freebies, I would say, which are actually creating a very big pressure on the government budgeting. So I think if the political parties have a consensus around that, if they present a standard operating procedure among themselves that they won't encourage bad freebies, I think we can mitigate the negative impacts that the political parties have on the economy.
Vishnu, you use the term bad freebies, which
Yes,
implies that there should be some good freebies.
Yes, sir.
I'd like you to give any examples for good freebies.
Sir, I think free education, public health care, these are some good freebies. And if we see recently, so even it might appear as a bad freebie, like giving access to television, in like example in Tamil Nadu. But when there was a survey conducted, it was found out that the awareness level among women actually increased a lot because they were exposed to different ideas through televisions. So I think we can look these as a good freebies because at the end of the day, it is leading to development of human capital.
In 2016, there was this revolutionary decision by the Prime Minister, demonetization. A recent verdict from the Supreme Court also came about it. What is your opinion about demonetization as a process? Has it served its purpose?
So, though there were certain problems that the people had to face due to demonetization, but I would like to see this issue in a perspective that even after the government knew there would be certain big setbacks, the very resolve of the government to undertake such bold move to address corruption and the issue of black money within the economy actually shows that we are very much serious on the issue of corruption. And given the vast, the diversity that the country has, I think there will be different opinions on demonetization. But at the end of the day, given the correct intention that the government had, I think the move was justified. And the recent Supreme Court verdict also affirmed the same, that the procedure that was followed was also correct.
But there was one judge who deferred to the majority, right?
Yes.
What was the essence of her judgment or her opinion?
Sir, Justice Indu Malhotra ma'am, she had said that the government cannot by an ordinance, cannot by a notification take back all the currency notes. It should have put forward through a legislative action by an ordinance. So I think she focused more on the procedural aspect.
Was it Justice Indu Malhotra?
No, sir. I'm sorry, sir. It was Nagaratne ma'am.
Okay, forget about it. Another thing is, there is this controversy that political parties are receiving huge amounts as donations from people with shady backgrounds. That is also another form of corruption because any person can influence that party, and when that party comes to power, can influence the governance process also. Is it not corruption?
So, if it is coming from the shady organizations which are having vested interests, then sir, that is definitely a part of corruption, which I think needs to be addressed, because at the end of the day, then those people are having undue influence over the government.
Every industrialist will have vested interests, right?
Yes, sir.
Or would they be contributing money to political parties because they want to improve the country?
No, sir, they will have the vested interest.
So, any other alternate suggestions, since you're a student of economics, regarding contribution to political parties?
Yes,
Any foolproof system you can suggest?
So, I think a very a revolutionary step would be to have state funding of elections, and there have been committees like Dinesh Goswami committee which has suggested the same, but then again it would take some time to materialize because we would need to have consultation with the parties. We would need to also look at what would be the quantum of amount that we need to give to each party, and would unrecognized parties would also come under that ambit.
Thank you, sir.
Vishnu,
Yes, sir.
you brought in the name of Justice Indu Malhotra.
Yes, sir.
You were born in Pathanamthitta.
Yes, sir.
I think her one particular judgment had a bearing in something which happened in Pathanamthitta.
Yes, sir.
Can you relate to that?
Sir, is it the Shabarimala verdict?
Yes, I am referring to that.
Yes, sir. Sir, do you want me to specify what Justice Sindhu Malhotra said, or?
Now, what were the essential features of that judgment? If you are aware of that, you can tell.
Sir, at this moment, I'm not able to recollect, sir. But I'll
What
look
was
at-
the issue surrounding that judgment?
Sir, the Shabarimala issue was the woman entry as per the customs. The women aged between the menstrual cycle gap, they were not allowed to enter as per the customs. But then there was an appeal which was filed at the court, which called for woman entry as per Article 14 of the Constitution, and also the judgment said that it's a form of untouchability which does not allow women to go into the temple.
Which is the article which deals with untouchability?
So Article 17.
What is the status of the case at this point of time, the Shabarimala case?
Sir, there is a review petition which is pending with the Supreme Court right now.
So, does the judgment, the earlier judgment still stands, or it stands annulled?
So I'm not aware of the exact intricacies.
Okay, we will leave Shabarimala.
Yes,
Your first choice is the Indian Foreign Service.
yes, sir.
Any particular reason for that?
So it's my interest in the international relations right from my childhood, which has steered me into the foreign service arena. Like, I really want to be in foreign policy making and execution. So I think civil services presents a very good avenue for me at this age to be in my dream. So that's why, sir, foreign services.
You mentioned right from your childhood you had an interest.
Yes, sir.
What was the issue which attracted your attention as a child?
Sir, I think the images of our leaders meeting the other countries' leaders, negotiating, discussing various treaties, and sir, the very
You can
fact.
give examples.
Sir, I think one very major impact that I had was how an ambassador, like how Indian embassy actually helped to rescue the nurses which were stranded in Iraq when the ISIS was ruling over there. That was one aspect, sir, which really influenced me. Like, it showed how much impact even in the foreign services I can make. And also, sir, retrospectively, the civil nuclear agreement that India had with the United States, that also showed like how people in the foreign service can also help us impact the nation also, sir, in a very positive way.
But Vishnu, has that agreement which you referred to, what has been its impact? When was it signed?
So it was signed in 2005 between Manmohan Singh and George Bush.
And now it is 17 years.
Yes, sir.
So in 17 years, what benefit India has got out of that?
So the embargo which the NSG had on non-nuclear states, that was taken back as per the agreement, and India was getting access to some critical nuclear reactor technologies which otherwise we wouldn't have got. So I think that was a very big help that India could get in terms of nuclear technology.
Can you explain it a little more? Did it contribute to any nuclear plant or power generation or any sector which positively impacted out of this agreement?
Sir, I'm not able to recollect the name of the nuclear plants, but sir, given the technological advancement that in the reactor technology that the West has, especially United States, France, after we signed the agreement, we got access to those technologies very easily without any conditionalities. The only condition was the certain nuclear facilities of India would be kept under the scanner of IAE, and that was allowed as per the protocols. So that actually helped us to gain more equitable access to nuclear reactor technologies, and it also helped us to produce nuclear energy, which would also help us to go to the targets of net neutrality, carbon neutrality.
Those are all potential possibilities. Yes, I am asking the 17 years outcome, any concrete outcome.
So currently I am not able to recall, sir. I'll look at it.
Okay, we will leave that. In your options, I find after IFS, IAS and IPS, fourth option you are given to
Defense Estate Service.
Defense estate. Any particular logic behind that choice?
Sir, I found the work profile of IDES very interesting.
Can you explain that? What is the work profile?
So an IDES officer is stationed in the cantonment, the military cantonments, and he or she becomes a chief executive officer after being posted. So he or she is responsible for the civilian administration of such an area. So I found the work profile very interesting. So I thought I'll keep that as my fourth option.
It's a very deliberate, conscious choice,
Yes, sir.
not by accident.
No, sir.
Okay. You studied economy as well as economics as well as political science.
Yes, sir.
And you studied in Gujarat.
Yes, sir.
Then you spent considerable number of years in Gujarat.
Yes, sir.
And you were born in Kerala. So you got acquaintance with the two states.
Yes, sir.
Can you compare the economic development of Gujarat and Kerala? Some essential features can you give?
So there is always this debate of Gujarat model versus Kerala model of development. So the Kerala model of development focuses more on social development, investing in social infrastructure like healthcare, education. Though we had low economic growth, the social indicators of social indicators of Kerala was quite high, and that is reflected in the HDI rankings of the Niti Aayog. And secondly, sir, the per capita income of Kerala was low, but even after that, we have good HDI performance. In Gujarat, sir, the focus was more on economic growth, the growth of the state. It was believed that once the state accumulates enough capital through the mode of high economic growth, then as per the trickle-down approach, we can ensure a good social indicators. So in the first place, this Gujarat, the focus was on economic growth, while in Kerala, the focus was on economic development.
What is your preference?
So I would take a mix of both, because I think economic growth would also help us to have a sustainable investment in social sectors, and that would actually help improve our infrastructure as well.
Okay, thank you.
Vishnu, you have a very impressive academic record.
Thank you, sir.
You had your schooling in Gujarat,
Yes, sir.
but you are from Tiruvalla.
Yes, sir.
Can you tell me, this Tiruvalla, where has this name derived from?
So there is this famous Vallabha temple in Tiruvalla. So the name comes Sri Tiruvallabham. So from that, Tiruvalla has come. There is also this another myth saying that there is a river, Tamil name of that river is Vallam. So I'm not, Manimala river, sir. Manimala river's name is Vallam, and Tiru is the prefix that was added. So in that way also the name Tiruvalla has come.
Well, we have had this discussion over Gujarat's model and the Kerala model. Now, you said you would have a mix of both these, growth and development. So what should come first, growth or development? And what is the essential difference?
So the difference between economic growth and development is that economic growth is a quantitative concept where the overall production level of an economy, it rises. But economic development is a very broad concept where it also ensures the fruits of the economic growth is reaching to all sections of the society. Their well-being is also increased. So that is a more broader concept. So again, it would be difficult to say which one to give more preference, because I think both of them are related to each other.
Okay.
Only if we have high economic growth, we can ensure a sustainable economic development. And only if we have economic development where well-being of the people is high, then only we can ensure that their participation in the economic force is high, leading to high economic growth.
There's a lot of speculation over the, possible GDP level of India, whether it would be 7%, or whether it would be less than that, whether it would be more. What do you think is a possible growth figure for the economy for the next year?
Again, if we look at, I think in the current scenario, given the uncertainties that we have, the rise of a new COVID wave that is happening in China, and the possible impacts that it can have on the global economies and how interlinked we are with the global economy, I think it would be very difficult for me to have at a number, because if we project right now some number, that can change in the future. So.
There have been projections by different agencies. Government, the finance ministry has projected a certain rate.
Yes, sir.
The other, international agencies have also come up with their figures. Yes, but why do you think the recession, or generally they say the recession is not likely to impact Indian economy so much?
So, when we look at the global scenario, the global economy faced high amount of inflation, and because they gave cash payments directly in the hands of people. So obviously when we had high inflation, the economies had to hike their interest rate, and that will lead to recession. But in India, the case was different. Rather than giving cash directly to the hands of people, we focused on the sectors of the economy, like manufacturing sector, where we gave conditional payments to the firms to increase their production. So the level of inflation was not very high for the Indian economy, but it was high for the global economy. So the quantum by which we might need to hike our interest rate would not be too high. So as a result, we will not be in a situation of a a recession which is equivalent to what the globe might face. And also, so secondly, as I talked earlier about the manufacturing sector, the conditional payments that they got, that has actually impacted them in a positive way. And we have also seen Indian manufacturing sector gaining new heights due to different policies that the government has taken. So that has acted as a cushion for us.
Okay. Do you think the multilateral trade negotiations which are happening under the auspices of the WTO, they are likely to go ahead, or is this bilateral trade relations would be the new scheme of things?
So, given the trade barriers that the countries are now imposing on each other, like United States against China, and the rising FTAs that the countries are signing with each other, it appears that the multilateral agreements are fading and giving way to bilateral agreements. But sir, I think at the end of the day, multilateral agreements are the way ahead, because each country has a different comparative advantage in their goods. So I think rather than just limiting on one certain country and creating a dependency on that country, I think if we just diversify our trade and agreements, that would be much more good.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, Vishnu,
Yes, sir.
you are a political science student.
Yes, sir.
So, you have been familiar with the various philosophies of political science.
Yes, sir.
So, which among the philosophies of political science do we follow in India, in the practice of politics in India? How do you categorize them?
So, rather than taking one philosophy, I think we have been focusing on a mix of different philosophies in different arena. For example, when we look at domestic politics, the government policies, I think we have focused on the Gandhian idea of Sarvodaya, Antyodaya, ensuring that the services reach till the last mile, the last person. So with respect to foreign policy, I think recently we have shifted to the Kautilyan tradition, the Arthashastra tradition, where we focus on securing our national interest. At the same time, we also do firmly believe in the idea of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, where we not only advocate our interest, but also the interest of the global world. So an example that I can give is, so when we say we want to be a member of UNSC, permanent seat, it's not only us that we are referring to. We are referring to the other countries of the world also, like Japan, Brazil, and even the African nations.
It is recently being said Indian foreign policy is becoming muscular. Okay, do you agree with it? What are your thoughts?
So I think foreign policy is becoming more realistic rather than being muscular, because we have never threatened a country with the use of force like what other countries do. So rather than muscular, I would say it's becoming more and more realistic.
What do you mean by realistic?
So we are very much vocal about advocating our national interests, keeping by our stances, which I think we used to mask that a bit earlier. And that might be because we are now a very big rising power. And by the stature of that rising power, I think it's upon us to actually advocate our foreign interest and national interest vocally.
Recently, there is a big debate brewing about the basic structure of the Constitution. Are you familiar with it?
Sorry, sir, I'm not familiar with the ongoing debate.
The primacy of the Constitution versus the parliamentary decisions.
Yes, sir.
Any observations you can make about that?
Sir, I think at the end of the day, the Constitution is the supreme law of the land, and the Parliament also derives its authority from the Constitution itself. So the Constitution and the constitutional values should be upheld at the forefront, because the fundamental rights and fundamental dignity of an individual is being guaranteed by the Constitution, and that would also ensure that people have trust with the Indian polity as well.
There is a major debate between the Supreme Court and other elected the constitutional authorities. So what you are just summarized is the Constitution is primary, but who gives authority to Constitution itself?
So it's the people.
Yeah, how does the people's voice get expressed?
Through the Parliament.
So it is said that Kerala is the diabetes capital of India.
Yes.
What is any idea about why?
So I'm not fully aware of that, sir. Sorry. I'll look at it, sir.
In India, normally in any developed society, the indicator for governance is employment.
Yes, sir.
Unfortunately, in India, there's always a debate about employment generation, and they are not able to enumerate data on employment. Can you elaborate on that? Why?
Sir, it's because the parameters or the definition of an unemployment, there are differing interpretations on that. If we look at the traditional definition, it says a part of the labor force which is actively looking for job is not able to find job, that is unemployment. So, but there is also this idea that there are certain people who are not actively looking, they have passively looked for work, but just because of their high aspirations, they are not able to find the correct job. So they are also unemployed, but the data might not show that. Then secondly, sir, there will be certain sections of the population which is not educated, which is not trained or not in employment, and they are still again not looking for the jobs. So that is also one reason why we have so many differing interpretations of unemployment data.
Your preference is IFS, am I right?
Yes, sir.
The job will require you to be outside India, probably away from family.
Yes, sir.
But when there are, when a family requires or demands your availability or attention, how are you going to resolve this issue?
Sir, I think I would like to take that on a case-by-case approach. If the nation doesn't require me, like if my presence is not required at that particular moment, I think I can attend to my family. But at the same time, if there is something of a national priority that the state has entrusted upon me, I think I will definitely have to give priority to the nation and the national interest first.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
So would you like to say about how you felt about his performance?
Yeah, Vishnu, your formal part is over regarding the feedback. Vishnu, you are a very promising, good candidate with a lot of potential. With the practice, you can improve. what I find is your major forte is your communication ability. You are able to talk fluently in English, converse well without any problem. That's a big strength.
Okay.
Plus, you have a basic idea about most of the issues. Most of the issues you have some basic idea. Having said that, there are a couple of things I would suggest where you can improve.
Yes.
For example, your body language.
Yes, sir.
You have been constantly sitting with your hands on your thigh.
Okay, sir.
Many people will tell many things how to go about it, things like that. Probably, I don't psychiatrist, he may be able to tell, but it doesn't convey an easy kind of appearance. You can be maybe put it something like this, or a little minor movement of hand is okay.
Okay,
Keeping it completely stand still above the thigh, somehow it presents. And at the board, you will be sitting closer. The actual board will be in the somewhat like a U shape, and the chairman will be sitting at the end, and you will be sitting a little closer. Then sometimes I thought when you are replying, your lack of confidence, little bit the hesitancy comes out.
Okay.
And also the listening part is very, very important. Dr. Arun asked you about demonetization. Basically, he was asking about some features. You brought on the controversial side of it, and then you were trying to justify that. You listen to the question, because when an issue is taken up, that issue may have various dimensions. What exactly is the dimension the question is focusing?
Okay.
You come to that,
Okay.
and then with your background, see, any candidate for the interview will give answer to most of the questions. They will say something of all these issues. But where you impress is by giving qualitatively superior answer.
Okay.
For example, somewhere to a question you referred to the Dinesh Goswami committee.
Yes.
Like that, some relevant input, information, maybe some statistics, some numbers, some illustrative examples, that elevates the quality of your answers. The board forms impressions in this manner.
Okay.
Okay, any person will say something in any situation, but the qualitative superiority, when you get the opportunity, you should make use.
Yes, sir.
Otherwise, you are doing well, you should do extremely well in the interview. All the best.
Thank you.
Well, I would mostly agree with the honorable member. No, Hemchandra, of course. Well, I would say I'm very impressed. Generally, you've been analytical. You try to, if a question is put to you, use it as an opportunity to display your understanding of the theory. For instance, I'll tell you, the separation of power issue, executive versus judiciary, what the parliament is saying and all that. That's an opportunity for you to mention about the very important separation of powers. Okay, that would be impressive. Number two, again about the foreign policy. That's an opportunity for you to bring in that realistic policy you said. You could buttress it again with that the Hansen, what's that most important?
Morgan.
Hans Morgan theory.
Yes, sir.
What it means really, self-interest. How do you protect it? It could have been a little bit of theory.
Yes.
If you can bring it in, that would impress the board more. That's all that I would.
Before I ask a doctor to say, no, I also agree with him. You appeared confident,
Thank you, sir.
composed. Now, regarding your sitting like this, as he said, some people also say that you are talking so much, this thing, that is also not very good and all that. But as he said, a little movement here and there may. Here. Now it looks that you are tense. You are not.
Yes.
You are not, but still when you sit like this throughout, you feel that you are tense or something like that. Now, muscle diplomacy you asked.
Muscular.
Muscular. You gave an answer also, which could be correct. I am not saying that because I am also not a foreign policy expert. But still, if you see that we are being encircled by another China, for example, they are going and constructing something in Bhutan, Nepal, something in Lanka, something in Maldives, here, there, and all that. They have all been forced into a coercive sort of diplomacy. Now they can't say no to anything, so much in debt. So that debt has to be cleared, that it is grant you, don't worry. So we will look after your airport, we will look after your port, we will look after your railway station, and all these things. Then what can Bangladesh do, or what can Maldives do, or what? So a little bit of muscle power, in the sense it is money power, is employed there, and they have been. Now Bhutan is the only sort of in our neighbors. I don't know whether in view of this you should say no. It is, you said something else, that is a diplomacy
It's
that
realist. It became more realistic.
realistic. And you may be right, I am not disputing it at all, but you, I think you can, if you get the time, consult some foreign expert also before you go with your answer. And also this muscular sort of or coercive, I have read this word, coercive sort of diplomacy.
Sorry.
No. Then another was Kerala's main problem, unemployment, you said. Of course, again, it is right, unemployment leads to terrorism, theft, and attacks, and displeased with everything what the government is doing or the officer is doing, corruption, so many things happening and all. It could be correct, but today, I don't know, maybe my impression, I find that the so-called killings, large-scale killings going on, particularly girls being killed. She is unable to, she cannot say no to a marriage proposal. If she said, then she is killed, or acid is thrown on her body, and nobody is there to help, and police, by the time they help and all that, the damage has been done. Then another great problem is drug. Youngsters are going, that is because unemployment also, agreed. But employment also, these people will now use that money, salary, for this buying drugs. And otherwise they have been probably started stealing money from parents and all that, then going and selling something or the other. And drug is also a great problem in Punjab and now in Kerala also. But drug is a problem. Third is this sort of militancy, this SFD and all that, people are coming and coming. You don't know who is going to do what. And openly saying that certain people have to be eliminated. And terrorism in Punjab, this used to happen at that time. If somebody had made some money, corruption, though you used to get a phone call saying that you have taken 3 lakh of rupees from so and so, within 2 days you return this money, otherwise you will come and kill your child or kill your so and so. If it was not returned, he was surely killed also. One chief engineer, they said by Monday morning, if it is not done, the chief engineer's dead body will be outside his office there in sector, very close to Raj Bhavan. And it was not adhered to, they did not do something, whatever they wanted. And that chief engineer, 1, 2, 3 people were killed, and the dead body was lying. The bodies were lying there till lunchtime. Nobody had the courage to go and pick up that dead body also. So, of course, in view of all these things, you can probably consult some experts and get it. Revise your view slightly, moderate your view, or in a sort of balance this or that and all that, you can cover all and say, in view of this also, what would be the most important problem. You come to some conclusion.
Yes.
If I am being asked now in this old age, now I wonder better, but this killings that has become really something worrying.
Yes.
People are being killed. A girl cannot say no to a wedding. I don't want to marry you. I want to study. I want to do my PhD, or I want to remain unmarried. Doesn't she have a choice to say that? She should have. But immediately the fellow asking maybe watchman or a security man or this and that, and she must be PhD or anything like that. So this is also you can consider. Otherwise, you look confident and composed and very good, and a very good candidate for Indian Foreign Service. And some of these latest things you can study. One China policy, or small countries, how do they exist? Taiwan,
Yes.
or small countries, they also have the right to exist.
Yes.
And people having some sort of money power and other things, they are going to trouble them. And there's a lot of problem. And about this war, you can study something, I suppose, the Ukraine war. If the foreign aspect, whether you can have a view on that. Oh, doctor.
Vishnu, could you just keep your hands like this? Like this. Just wanted to look how you. It's okay to move it a little bit. The problem was that it's okay to keep it like this when you start, but you look too rigid throughout the interview, as if you are very stiff. A little bit of movement here and there in this mid position. Only thing is that I think we have discussed it already.
Yes.
Keeping it like this, some people may not appreciate because it is just like putting a curtain in your front. So a little bit of movement and a little bit of flexibility is okay. Excellent communication skills. You come across as a very brilliant candidate. Wonderful English. You explain your ideas wonderfully well. You look confident and much more mature than your age. Great things about you. One or two small suggestions is you sounded too diplomatic in most of your answers.
Yes.
Right from the contribution of political parties to the international issues, sounded that you are consciously trying to take a middle position without hurting anybody. It's okay to take such a position, but substantiate it with facts, figures. So just like the question which I asked about demonetization, it would be worthwhile if you can quote one or two statistics.
Okay.
What is the percentage of so-called black money which returned to RBI following that? At least what does the government say about it? Okay. And what was the percentage of Indians who used to pay income tax pre-demonetization, post-demonetization?
Yes.
So you can quote some of those statistical data. It sounds much more authentic and impressive. And don't make unforced errors. You made one unforced error.
Yes.
That was the name of that.
Justice.
It's okay because your preparation is just starting.
Yes.
But don't make such unforced errors. Other than that, you have wonderful chance. I think you have enough time also remaining,
Yes.
right?
We have not got the schedule.
So at least 2 months remaining. So go ahead with the suggestions which the honorable panel members have given.
Yes.
I think that you would make it this time. All the best.
Thank you.
And at this age, if you start without wishing, then you can reach the highest also in service, because you are very young. You are only 22.
22, sir.
Your first chance.
Yes.
So that is very good. You wanted to say something else?
It's been covered, except that I was suggesting what the doctor said about the body language. I'm glad that you're not going to the other extreme. Generally, I found, including myself, the candidates from Kerala has this tendency to gesticulate widely. That should be avoided. So you seem to be, and you're quite communicative.
Yes.
I would say again, along with all the others, you are a very good candidate. Wonderful potential.
Actually, one small point, sir, with your permission. When you came in, I thought you are wearing the suit. You took a few seconds to
Yes.
remove that buttons. I don't know whether that is something better avoided, or I thought it was a little awkward pause there.
Okay.
Begin with, people will be watching closely, or you can come like this and enter.
Don't be too conscious about the turnout, and I think your confidence should be there. I thought that again, maybe as the doctor said, slight changing, or maybe taking a hand to explain, but definitely not too much of gesticulation.
Put like this.
Yeah, sometimes.
Something like that, or not like this exactly, sir.
Oh,
Maybe
whatever.
Something like that. So, because sometimes it our focus is on your hands. What are you going to do? You almost got plastered there, you know.
So I had this habit of doing like this.
Maybe.
That's why I then thought
Yes.
of control.
Actually, too
Yeah.
much of movement will be definitely
Yes,
objectionable
yeah.
because you will be sitting too close to the board also.
Yes.
So too much, as Sir said, but a minimal this thing. Otherwise,
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
appearing stiff.
But
rigid.
you are not very stable. But you have been, because you've been very communicative, you didn't have a language program, and your ideas are crystal clear. So that comes to.
I'll give a couple of thoughts from my side, sir.
Please.
Yeah, with the permission of the chair, maybe a couple of points I will share. Yeah. Of course, as the panelist said, communication, presence of the thing, confidence. Only a couple of things I felt was it a little too quick to answer? You can actually afford to take a pause before you answer.
Okay.
What happens otherwise? Because that 1 or 2 extra seconds will give you that will make your answer a little sharper. Because as Hemendra sir rightly said, to bring out that extra quality answer, you need that one, rather than before the question is coming, you shoot back. It is always good to assimilate the question if you can get one better idea. Because a few thoughts, some knowledge gaps was evident, like dietary capital. Kerala has a very big.
I was not sure. So I had this question. I don't know if that's correct. So should I guess or should I just say I don't know?
Okay. You were not fully aware of that
Yes.
fact. Secondly, even you said, even though I asked you a question about the basic structure but you gave primacy to the constitution itself.
Yes.
It's a roaring debate now. Everyone is talking about it's going to be definitely you can expect around this one topic.
Yes.
Then even the political philosophy, what is practiced, certain you go mentioned the Gandhian philosophy of, but the way India has practiced politics over the past 75 years, a lot of non-alignment, and it is only recent history that is a shift.
Yes.
So I just wanted to see, because rather than I was a little looking at more the practical aspects of what was being.
Okay.
Think about you, and you gave a theoretical, no doubt about that.
Yes, sir.
But a smart question would be to really bring in something which is really tangible, which is can definitely be. Maybe as one thing is listening also. If you listen, I think you are able to formulate your answers very well. That I have no doubt about that.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, this is what I would like to share. Thank you.
All the very best.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, all the best.
Thank you.
So should I? So I had this question. So as sir asked about the diabetes capital, so I think like I knew the answer, but I wasn't sure if that is the correct answer. So in such scenarios,
Yeah,
like
perhaps you can say that diabetes is a serious problem in Kerala. It's a serious problem in Kerala. Then lifestyle diseases, how lifestyle is affecting and how we are tackling some such thing. See, it's a purposeful conversation, interview. It's not a pinpointed knowledge testing. That's all.
yes, sir.
Like that you can use.
Okay, sir.
And
So only
said-
tells us the situation is grave.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Okay. If it's so, we are asking what could be the reasons for that.
Okay.
You can mention from there. But that fact itself need not be contested, not required.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, all the best.
All the best.
Thank you, sir.
All the best.